Thank you for joining us for the Immigration.ca live stream series. It's now been 1 year since we started our first live stream, and we just wanted to thank you very much for all of your support and for following us. And we look forward to another year ahead with you, and we have a lot of very interesting topics planned. So if this is your first time joining us, my name is Andrea, and I'm here with immigration lawyer Colin Singer. Colin is managing partner of Immigration.ca, and Colin is also managing partner of SkilledWorker.com. So Colin, today we're going to be discussing studying in Canada and how that can lead to permanent residence. It's a very interesting topic, and we get lots of questions on this. So we've noticed some trends, and what are those trends with regards to international students?
Well, first of all, over the last 5 years, Canada's policies have been directed at increasing the international student population. It's surprising that it's taken this long for policymakers to actually move forward and attract an important component to our immigration programs. Studies have long shown that individuals with strong ties to Canada succeed and perform the best, able to get jobs, and really their chance of success is highest. People who have a history here, who've learned language, English and or French. So it's really remarkable that it's taken this long for the policies to actually be put into gear, and we are seeing numbers year by year. In 2015, the numbers shown that there's over 350,000 international students studying in Canada. People remark that this is a high number, but actually numbers will be higher as we go forward. And so international school students are the focus of the colleges in Canada, and the universities, and high school as well. There's a lot of push for schools in Canada to go after an international student because they represent, first of all, much higher fees. To become an international student in Canada, very costly. You have to be able to afford the tuition, which is higher for foreign students. So we generally see individuals who want to qualify for an international position at one of the colleges, even high school, university, you're paying more than double what a Canadian would pay. So one of the screening factors, to put short and sweet, one of the screening factors that you need to look at, can you afford to be an international student? And generally, the cutoff is, we put a number out there for most of our clients inquiring. You need to have basically at least $25,000 to be able, per year, to be able to become a post-secondary student in Canada. So the numbers are showing 350,000 in 2015-16. We're close to perhaps touching 400,000, and the future looks to be well more than 500,000 by 2020.
So going back to the students, so what are their options for permanent residence after they've studied?
Well, you know, each of the provinces have their own provincial nomination programs. And at the federal level, for permanent residence, the federal government has, since November 2016, as we know, they've put in additional points. They now allocate 15 points or 30 points, depending on the duration of your post-secondary study. If you are a bachelor degree or a master degree holder, you're going to get upwards of 15 or 30 points towards your overall score in the express entry system. So in terms of getting Canadian permanent residence, there's no federal program that will actually put you into a permanent residence stream. What they do is they allocate a significant number of points, and that's showing up in the overall CRS scores. We're at a level now where these types of candidates who are in the system are affecting the overall scores, and they're currently in the 430 range. So that's permanent residence at the federal level.
Okay, so what about at the provincial level?
So at the provincial level, we have a number of nomination programs that incorporate international graduates. So you have the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Project, which covers 4 of the Atlantic provinces. The numbers that are available for students per se, it's probably not that many because it's 4 provinces, and it's a total number of 2,000 spots available per year covering the 4 provinces in their particular nomination program. So the Atlantic Immigration Pilot is one option if you're going to study in one of the Atlantic provinces. Again, each of the provincial programs have their own permanent residence options, and they all have varying requirements. So whether it's British Columbia or Manitoba, Saskatchewan, all of them offer a program that has a number of requirements. Without going into the details of all the requirements, the topic of today that we're covering is Canada offers international graduates attractive pathways to permanent immigration. This particular item is on our website, and in that article we cover all of the provinces, and there's a table and charts that delineate all of the requirements. So what you're looking at, most of these programs require a job offer. So for example, a job offer and some graduate work permit. So you're going to need to get onto a work permit and have a job offer, obviously, to get that work permit, and it has to be permanent. So a lot of these provinces require permanence, a full-time job offer. But it's interesting that perhaps 2 provinces have tempered down the requirement for a job offer. Ontario, you don't need a job offer if you're graduating from, excuse me, a master's program or a PhD program. But by far, the best program
is Quebec.
It's Quebec because of a number of reasons. The first reason is that there's no requirement for a job offer. And it's the level, the entry level for the types of international students. You can be graduating from a college program. You can be graduating from a number of approved diploma programs. Again, there's a list and there's a mix of programs that qualify. Again, the catch with Quebec, obviously, is you need to be studying in French. Or you need to be in an English program and enrolled in a separate stream of French courses, which if you pass those courses, then you're exempt from having to take a language test. So there's a number of ways to get to Canadian permanent residence by studying in Quebec, and without an employer coming up with a permanent offer of employment, Quebec is an interesting option because many international students who don't speak French can take a full-time course of study, and parallel to that, they can enroll during their course of their studies, enroll in French courses approved by the Quebec government, and by passing those courses in a very reasonable time frame, you would be exempt from having to take a French language test, which ultimately you need to be at what's called advanced intermediate if you were to pass a French test.
Right.
If you had to take a French test, it's actually harder because you need to pass advanced intermediate.
Right.
But if you take these French courses, you may not really be at advanced intermediate, and you could safely take these courses, pass each one of them. There's not that many, and you could then qualify for Canadian permanent residence without much difficulty.
Right.
It's quite, as we say, seamless.
Yes.
And there's many of our clients that are enrolled in these programs, going to school in Quebec at a number of degrees, and parallel to their course of study, they're taking French courses that are approved and are able to transition to Canadian permanent residence. What's interesting is that the Quebec government has a much larger quota than any of the other provinces.
Okay.
So each year, Quebec takes in the skilled worker front, approximately 30,000 individuals. And that would include the international graduates. So by far, Quebec has the biggest allocation. And if you are strategically working towards getting Canadian residence, if you're going to look at your options across Canada, you certainly want to look at Quebec for that particular reason, because the quotas and the allocations are so large, and because you have an option to take your course of study that you want and parallel that with approved French courses, and then you would be given priority in being assessed for Canadian permanent residence. Yeah.
That's great. So that covers the provincial programs. Do we have any? Should we move on to some questions?
Sure. That would be again. That's the generality of things. Our article that we just, of course, the information that we're talking about is on our website.
In the news section.
In the news section of immigration.ca. Take a look at one of the latest pieces, and it's really an important component. Obviously, with the numbers of students in Canada each year. And the fact that all of the provinces now have some component of an international graduate program with no requirement for a job offer. So if you're going to be looking at coming to Canada and saying, I'd like to anchor there permanently, for a number of reasons, people look at this option. Yes. Perhaps some individuals, even in their mid-30s or 40s, looking at Canada, looking for permanent residence, they can already know that they don't have the scores needed in the express entry system. And by getting into a Canadian education, you could be increasing your points for express entry, or you could be on a particular pathway for Canadian residents outside of the express entry system. So it has very important strategy, and so that's the takeaway.
Perfect. That's great. So one question that we get a lot. So basically, this person's an international student in Canada, and they want to apply for permanent residence. So,
well, look, again, the choices are quite varied, and they're vast. Some of the programs require you to have a post-graduation work permit. So you need to go through a program. You need to have an employer sponsoring you get onto a work permit program. Again, look at this article, and you will understand that either you're going to look at the express entry system as a standalone by going to school. Again, the province you choose is very important because it will either require you to get a work permit, or if you're doing a master's degree, Ontario could be a great option. Or if you're looking at a more certainty, then you kind of want to be looking at Quebec if you can find the course of study that you want.
Okay, so this ties in nicely with the next question. How long is a postgraduate work permit valid for?
So again, the postgraduate work permit will depend on how long your course of study was. It can vary from 8 months to 24 months. So if you are in a short-term program, then your postgraduate work permit can only be for that short period, which is generally going to be 8 months. Okay. So it'll depend on the length of study, and it can be for up to 3 years, depending, again, on your length of study.
Okay. So this is a very interesting question. How do I find out about schools for international students in Canada?
So it's important to, first of all, understand that there's a designated learning institution list that applicants to Canada should be aware of. We have that list on our site under our study portal on immigration.ca. So take a look. We have a lot of information on how to find and choose the right school on the study portal of immigration.ca. Again, you need to be going to a designated learning institution. And then, of course, you want, as I mentioned earlier, you want to have a good understanding of what are your options for long-term permanence in Canada. And again, the province you go into is going to be a major factor because, of course, there's such variations.
Okay. So you mentioned how Quebec is an attractive option. So how does one go about studying in Quebec?
So, the process to Quebec is really a two-stage one, in the sense that Quebec issues what's called a certificat d'acceptation. You need a CAQ. So, obviously, first you need to apply and get into an approved institution, and then you're applying for a certificat d'acceptation, and then ultimately you're then submitting an application to the visa office for a study permit. Now, anyone who wants to study in Canada, you need to have really a strong financial profile. And that's really the caveat, and it's the obstacle for a vast majority of candidates who want to come to Canada. It's unfortunately a very high threshold in the sense that you need to cover the tuition and living costs for the first year. So you're looking at well more than $20,000, and really we try to tell our clients in the range of $25,000 to $35,000 per year, depending on depending on the degree you're going into. So Quebec as well, you need 1 year of tuition, 1 year of living expenses, and that's generally going to be around $25,000. You need to apply for a certificat d'acceptation once you're in the school. Again, the schools we cover on our website under the study portal.
Okay, great. And this brings us to our final question. So I am an international student in Canada. Can I work while I'm studying?
So the answer is yes. You're allowed to work for up to 20 hours per week, either on campus or off campus, without getting a particular work permit. So when you're going to get a study permit to Canada, you would be eligible to work while you're studying for up to 20 hours a week. This is very useful, and it's an important retention. It's an important competitive factor to qualify in terms for many people who want to be able to know that they can work while going to school. It's also an important element for Canada as a whole in attracting foreign students, allowing them to cover some of the tuition that they have to incur, and so they will be able to work without going and getting a labor market impact assessment and getting a study permit, a work permit. So it makes it a bit easier, and it's, again, up to 20 hours a week. And so, again, but if you want to stay on afterwards, you'll need a postgraduate work permit to stay on after your degree.
Perfect. Great. Well, thank you. So that brings us to the end of our questions. So if you're interested in coming to Canada, as always, please do go to our website, immigration.ca. We have an online assessment that you can complete. And if you're interested in studying, there's a comment section. So please just put in the comments that you would like to study in Canada. Otherwise, we can always do a consultation with you. So if you go to our website, you can always there's a link for a phone consultation, so you can do that. Or you can always just send us an email. It's csinger@immigration.ca, but this is in the Contact Us section. So as always, if you enjoyed today's content, please do like the video. Please follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, our social media. And we just wanted to thank you again for your support and for joining us today.
I think our next, again, we're hoping for another live stream either in 2 weeks or in 3 weeks. So it'll be either the 14th or the 21st of September. We'll let everybody know. Thanks for joining us, and look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks.